Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Immergence Show. I'm so thrilled you're here because today we have a truly special guest joining us. He is the creative force behind some of the most iconic productions like The Voice South Africa. Now, as the Chief Creative Officer of Foxtail Studios, he's pushing the boundaries of storytelling by blending art, tech, and strategy in ways that are redefining the industry. Please join me in welcoming the incredibly talented Keith Botha. Today, we're diving into the future of creativity, how brands and creatives can stay ahead of the curve, embrace innovation, and make their storytelling truly unforgettable. So get ready for an inspiring and game-changing conversation. Hi, Keith. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Nico. Thanks for having me. I'm pretty thrilled and excited to be here. It's a good start to my year.
Okay, amazing. You and I met, if I'm not mistaken, in San Francisco. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that was right. I think it
Amazing.
was at one of the free pick events at their
Yeah,
venue.
yeah,
I think there was some AI and content gathering of sorts as they do,
yeah.
and we got introduced via some mutual friend, and then kind of just took it from there.
Yes, and then you joined our event in LA, and yeah, I really loved your aesthetics and a foxtail bag. And so, yeah, I'm very excited about hearing your amazing professional career story. So tell us more. Tell us about all the great work you've done up until now.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Just a disclaimer, if I seem under the weather, my wife and my baby and I are a bit sick, so I
Oh,
do apologize. Um, yeah, I mean, wow, where do I start? I can go back into my teens. I think as a the creative and art side in me came out very early at a young age where I wanted to be a DJ and I was into tape mixing and cassettes and retro arcade games and all these kind of like I keep calling it like casino items for kids, but I was introduced to pop culture and American culture in my home of South Africa as a teen, and that really inspired um, just like I think storytelling and imagination. It was definitely a point of time where it evoked a lot of imagination in me, and I think organically over time that kind of just evolved and grew into something bigger. I was really into like live events and making music with friends and hosting a lot of parties and like taking photos and that kind of thing. And
mhm.
then when I was 18, there's a specific point when I was 16 and I had a history teacher, 30, and it was the first season of Big Brother South Africa that year. And
Mhm.
another 30 in the show, I remember him having he had a poo in the garden of Big Brother, and the whole country was shocked. Everyone was like mortified. We were like, "What did we just see on live television? This has never been done or seen. This is so weird." And the next day, I remember going to school and my history teacher was like, randomly we were talking about it and stuff, and I just literally said, I was like, I want to be the person who tells these people what to do. Like I feel like
Wow.
I can make these people really entertaining. And
Mm.
I think that was a manifestation in itself because I left
Yeah.
South Africa when I was 18. I went to the UK. I did like random jobs until I found a job as a security guard at the Big Brother UK house.
Wow.
Um, and people that know me and my size, I'm not the biggest man on the planet. Everyone was like, "You're a security guard." I was access control, to be very clear with you, and I had a torch, so watch out. But I immediately saw and I was exposed to the art department and the editorial creative team and the production design team and just the whole workflow of that operation and show. And it always inspired me, that show in that format. I was completely like dumbstruck with how cool it is from a like a social experimental kind of standpoint. Kind of long story short, I got really into it. I started working in art departments as assistant, games designers, game producer. I got really into it, and then fast track when I was 29 or 28, I was heading up Big Brother Africa for about 8 or 9 seasons as the creative producer and art director. So editorially creating all the games, tasks, and challenges that they do during the time in the house, but then also bringing the visual and logistical component to it. So I really found niche at some point during my career very early on, where I was paid and hired to come and design game shows in reality TV formats and really think about the visual aesthetic of the show, the editorial run and the beats of the show. So it was a really very fortunate, blessed career. I did The Voice, MasterChef, Big Brother, Survivor, The Jump, all these like insane experimental kind of shows where a lot of the shows never made it to season 2 or 3, I feel, because it was just so expensive to produce. And we really always just pushed the boundaries with that. But that's kind of that, that set me up for a very big understanding of production as a whole. And I think the combination of creativity, vision, and what is realistic and feasible equally. So I started a creative agency about 10 years ago called Catch 22 Media. We went with the trends where it was very online advert kind of spot focused, and we did a lot of branded content. That company did really well working with big agencies globally, big brands like BMW, Red Bull, Emirates, Nike, Mercedes. We did really interesting things. And that was more the short form kind of branded content. So it's just evolved. And then, speed it up a few years. I got to America at the back end of COVID, or in the middle of it in 2020. Was introduced and fell into Web3 quite heavily because, the whole world was in lockdown. No one had much to do. So got into all digital assets and met a whole group and cohort of creatives and crazy intelligent people. A bunch of scammers too in between. But that's just evolved. I started in multiple projects. I helped a lot of artists launch their projects and campaigns, helped with brand management, design on the creative side, and just production support. And that's, one thing led to another. We've produced a few TV shows the last few years, yeah. And now the venture and the business I've been working on for the last year, Foxtail Studios, which in my opinion is a new world creative studio, not an agency, but a creative studio where we really, combine creatives and technology and collaborate as a narrative. So yeah, that's just the fast track. But yeah, I think that's enough.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing such an inspiring story. Starting with the manifestation of where you want to end up, and then, working your way up, grinding to get to the level that you may not even expect you get. That's such a beautiful, inspiring story. I want to pause before we go into more details and thank our amazing audience, Gabriel, Vera, Felipe, and everyone else who's tuning in and engaging. Jean, hi, how are you all? Feel free to comment, share your thoughts about our conversation. I hope you're inspired too. We're going to get into more exciting stuff very quickly. But yeah, feel free to put your questions and comments in the chat and we'll get to them. All right. So, based on all these experiences that you had, different places that you worked in the traditional media industry, um, what type of observations did you have? I'm curious, like, did you notice inefficiencies? Did you notice, things that don't scale? What were some of the observations that you had that kind of planted the seed for you to want to use these technologies?
That's a great question. I think first and foremost, right? If I'm absolutely obsessed with creativity. I think it's like the only thing that keeps me going is always have to have multi-layered points of distraction, and I choose my distraction points to be data points. So it's very informative. I love knowing what other people are doing. I love to see what people are doing and winning, but equally so, if they fail, why, what could have been better. So I'm a bit of a data sponge when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
observation and kind of seeing trends, and also trying to be on the side of predicting trends as opposed to chasing it. Um, the biggest thing that I've always, and I think it's a very obvious understanding, since the inception of mobile integration and devices gaining access to the internet, information just rapidly became more accessible and either really good or really bad,
Yeah.
and then everything that's in between. So I think the big, kind of biggest observation I saw, one is people needed more faster, and they needed to get to it quicker. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's a secondary layer to it where people wanted better quality than what's actually available out there. So I think there's multi-layer separation or delusion where it's, yeah, you can get a lot of content fast, but if it's not really good, does it stick? And I think the trend just became social media and social media influences, right? To where it got
Yeah.
to a point where it is now. And I think the pandemic had unprecedented effects on social interaction, communication, content consumption, the delivery of it. And I think there's a lot of positives to take away from all of it, but there's also equally so a lot of negatives. I think it's caused a lot of deep rooted underlying issues that,
Yeah.
present itself in the state of the world as it is now. Um, but everything said, that's just what happens when you have the internet and a million billion people have access to it, and there's no kind of quality control. Um, so I think people have very intentionally started kind of going into their own niche areas and zones and different platforms where the conversation or the content's very directed at them, and they can associate with it. So it's almost like the big takeaway from this question is it's exploded the consumption and the need of it, and now it's kind of imploding because people are saturated and overwhelmed, and they can't consume everything. There's just never enough time, and you need to do something else and just consume. So I think uh, the trends are shifting to consuming less and creating more. And I think it's a very ideal time for that.
Amazing. Yeah, and I was reading that, scarcity factor is coming back. We had the opportunity to all become an influencer with the power of social media platforms that made it so easy, like TikTok. But now, interestingly, we're seeing that actually uh, it's shifting towards, like even athletes becoming influencers because it's harder to be a, successful athlete than be
Right.
just an influencer. You can just, hold your phone up and, record yourself. So yeah, I love this nicheification. I also heard that from someone at Vogue Business event. But yeah, so that's a really cool trend that you discovered. So let's talk about this concept of creativity as a service, CaaS. I think a lot of people are familiar with SaaS. If you can just describe for us what you mean by this creativity as a service, and how do you see it evolving?
Yeah, appreciate it. So, I mean, it dials back to that question you asked earlier in terms of trends, scalability, the issues I've seen. Content as a whole is very hard to scale, right? And I'm coming from a point of a director producer that's made and been involved in hundreds of productions, mixed multi formats, and also a creative agency owner and studio owner where there's only so many projects you can do at any one given time. And there's a level of quality that needs to be upheld. And that takes time, it takes resource, it takes talent, it takes skill and funding, essentially. And the one thing that I've been trying to figure out my entire life was how to scale content output, but maintain the professional, high quality look and feel that it needs to have, right? And the last couple of years, by paying attention to AI, the tooling that's being made and developed, it became a no-brainer that creativity as a service should be a thing. People can absolutely work faster, more effective, more efficient, and save on money if they have the right infrastructure. Bless you. And I think the main concept of this is utilizing creatives, keeping the authenticity and the voice behind the messaging, the talent, but creating infrastructure with the tools that's available to us now, and creating a tech stack and a dashboard and a landing infrastructure where they can supercharge their delivery speed from A to Z when it comes to concept, formulating, budgeting, logistical, rollout, scheduling. You can do all these things a million times faster due to the tools that's available free on the internet right now. So it became a no-brainer for Foxtail Studios to really claim stake on the creativity as a service, because we don't shy or are biased against any project size, company, brand, or small, right? Like, we kind of can do anything that is a creative need from, and it gets a bit ridiculous sometimes. People are like, what do you do? I'm like, we are creativity. We can produce a live music event. We can produce films, TV, shorts, adverts, and music. It's kind of just everything and one click away, right? And it kind of gives you access to our infrastructure and our talent pool and community. So I think the concept behind it is to make more, keep up with the trends, being able to deliver on the need of the market and the brands, keeping it real, right? Real content, real stories, real messaging, real people, but doing it fast and for less money. I think a big thing that people, and this is all Hollywood's to blame, right? But it's been inflated. The bubble had to be burst at some point. You can't charge $50,000 a day if you're an editor type thing. I get it. Some people want to, but I don't think it's sustainable for where we are in terms of content needs and delivery services of it. So yeah, we're just taking content into a bigger market. I think it's been too gate kept, to be honest.
Yeah, and especially with this AI boom, everybody can create content, and the quality matters more than ever. And this scaling creativity is the challenge that we all need to think about. But I actually see Gabriel has a really good question I want to bring up before we go to the next section. Creativity as a service sounds promising, but is it democratizing access to creative resources, or could it lead to the commodification of creativity potentially devaluing artists and their work?
That's a great question. I mean, it's meant to democratize the kind of the whole situation, right? Like you want to enable everyone. I think the bigger issue with that question is where we are now. I think there's a barrier of entry for creatives onto the technical side of things. So I think the first point needs to be, how do we get it in the hands of inherently talented storytelling creatives as it is now? Because I think, one, there's a massive resistance from traditional creatives and producers and artists that, one, are petrified of becoming null and void and completely, deem them worthless. But that's kind of the opposite of what we are trying to establish. I think it's empowering them more and giving them free access, right? We don't want the artists at the end of the day to pay to learn, to be able to stay up with the trends and where the market needs are. I think completely empowering artists and giving them as much of the tooling as possible in a user interface that makes sense for them. I think a lot of non-technical creatives get very overwhelmed with the technologies, and it's our duty to kind of simplify it and make it easier for them to understand how to use it so that they can be more empowered and kind of reclaim their creativity more than anything. And I think that's, it's a very big core fundamental kind of approach that we have with this. It's putting the power back into the creatives, but making sure that they catch up to the technology, because they have a moment in time now to still get equipped with it, get educated and trained on it. But if you are going to keep resisting it, you will be diluted and you will be made irrelevant, unfortunately. And I think that's just always been the case with creatives, right? Like technology, tools, software, it's always been there, right? Like no one just takes video, film, and just sticks it together and they edit anymore. They use Final Cut Pro, or they use this, they use that. Now you have CapCut with on your mobile device. It's like people need to also take a very what's the right word I'm trying to reach? They need to take initiative and like kind of bet on themselves and educate themselves to what's available. So I think staying relevant is more from a self-educational standpoint and using the tools that's available. And then your voice as a creative will never be dulled down, if that makes sense. I don't even know if I answered that question.
So you basically are saying that we are still far away from this commodification of creativity because majority of artists and creators are not even utilizing these tools that are, to a very small portion of us, our audience are mostly using these technologies, but not many artists and creators are still familiar with these tools. So you're saying we're basically far away from that.
I mean, far away in AI and technology is fleeting terms, right? Like something can happen next week, where it be a social platform or some sort of an app on a phone, and all of a sudden and they partner with Apple and they have it in the hands of 5 billion people and they're onboarded. It starts with one thing, but I think trained professionals and creatives that used to make TV, used to make film, used to make documentaries, radio, whatever your medium, the opportunity and the responsibility is yours, right? Like no one's going to do the work for you and no one's going to do the research for you. Companies like Foxtail Studios and a bunch of other ones, I mean, like Justin Hackney from 11 Labs and Real Dreams, those guys have been doing it for years and they've been growing communities and teaching them about the tech. They have some of the best resources on the planet, which we all share in, but you need a very small group of people to spend all of their time to dissect the technology and the trends, but then also identify the issues of onboarding, resistance, legalization. I mean, this is, in some countries, using AI tools is like using drugs at this point. It's very much not allowed. It's frowned upon. And I think, like any other legislation, there's a middle point that needs to safeguard it all. But I think we are past the age of people being handed things, right?
Yeah.
Like, they need to go and get it. They need to want it. And if they want it, they can utilize it for their own better.
And stand out. Awesome. So let's get into a little bit more about how Foxtail Studio is doing its stuff, and get more deeper into how art and technology are merging. Thank you so much for the great question, Gabriel. We appreciate you as always. And let's play this video or audio. Let's see. You can hear it?
No. I can't hear it. Can you hear it? Can you hear me?
Oh, so you guys cannot hear it?
I couldn't. Can you hear me?
Oh, I thought all this time you guys are listening. So sorry.
Maybe
Oh
it's
my
because
God.
your music's playing. Do you want me to play it on my side?
Yeah, feel free to
Maybe
play
try.
it. Oh my God. I was looking at you and I thought it's listening. It's playing. But sorry about that. Thank you for letting me know in the chat.
Let me see if
I was laughing at it because it was so funny, and I thought everybody's enjoying. I'm so sorry. Okay, Keith, let me give it a try on your side.
Okay, let me quickly find it, because it's going to be one of those. Can you hear me okay? I don't know.
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know why it wasn't playing. That's kind of odd.
That's fine. Let me see if this works.
All right, let me add it to the stage.
You've been unusually animated today, Foxbox. What's got your circuits in such a twist?
Oh, please. Like you haven't noticed the AI revolution happening right under our noses. It's like watching a creative Big Bang in real time. And we're right at ground zero.
Ah, yes, your favorite topic. Tell me, what makes this AI wave different from the 1,000 other next big things Silicon Valley's thrown at us?
Because this time it's not just hype and VC money, it's actual magic.
Mark, welcome to Foxtails. Let's cut to the chase. Foxtail Studios is your next biggest investment or your biggest missed opportunity. We're scaling creativity as a service, but for content.
Creativity as a service? Go on.
Here's the problem. Brands need more content than ever, quality and quantity, and they can't keep up. Our CaaS pipeline combines cutting-edge AI and human creativity to deliver high-level content faster, cheaper, and at scale. From storyboarding to final production, it's seamless.
Interesting. But what makes Foxtail different?
3 things. AI-human collaboration. Tools like 11 Labs and Luma meet top-tier creatives in our global network. Scalable subscriptions. Brands pay for tailored services on a subscription model. Creative ecosystem.
At least we're the cool, rebellious part of it.
Rebellious. Blaze, you're about as rebellious as a curated Instagram feed.
Says the guy who trademarked his tail flick.
That's called branding, my friend. You should try it sometime.
Oh, I've got a brand. It's called Not Giving a Damn.
And yet here you are, giving several dams.
Only because you begged me to be here. Admit it, Fox, you need me.
Need you? Please, I could replace you with an AI in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So funny. Thank you so much for sharing. That was really cool. And again, sorry for the technical difficulty, guys. Yeah, thank you for this. Is there anything you want to add before we get into the next segment?
Yeah, I think just in terms of that clip, the big thing is like we're developing our own brand and characters and storytelling. If we're going to be promoting or selling creativity as a service to different brands and companies, then best we do a really big effort doing our own branding and kind of storytelling. And I think that's the one thing that makes me very excited, aside from the concept of our company. It's the way that we are able to play and kind of deliver our message and our service to other people is always a bit tongue-in-cheek.
Yes, yes, I love it. Yeah. I mean,
after you, sir.
No, I was going to say, in this day and age that, there's so much content, you have to stand out, and what's better than humor? So that was really cool. And I know there was a little teaser of the characters in there, which I love. They're so fun. Hopefully soon we can all see every character in this story and other stories that you have coming up. But yeah, the Fox character and others are so cool. And thank you for our amazing audience being engaged. Hi, Ian. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, I thought you would love this conversation. That's why I DM'd you. But yes, let's get into the next segment of the discussion, merging art and technology. So where do you see like some of the ways that we can blend the traditional storytelling with these new technologies like AR, VR? Can you tell us any examples that you or others have done it to kind of enhance the storytelling?
Yeah, I mean, frankly put, I think we've been using it for a very long time in traditional storytelling and series and film, right? Like there's been effects, there's been animation, there's a lot of tools within animation and rigging and kind of more post-production, infrastructure that allows us to work faster, more accurate, and get things done, on a high level. But I think as a whole, the world's definitely in a place where I think there's a massive separation of needs and how people are consuming content and what they need as a stimulant whilst consuming content. Do they need to be at home and feel safe but want to explore outer world? Do they want to feel like they're floating in space? Do they want to feel and sound like have an immersive experience where it feels like they're going for a walk? That type of thing. And I once again go back to the lockdown and the pandemic state where people are like the separation. People are going out and touching grass and they're experiencing life as a natural being and they want to be outside and in nature. And a lot of people are hunkering in, staying indoors and become homebodies. But I feel there's an elevated way to deliver and consume content. And I think that from an AR and VR perspective, it's way more immersive, right? And even though when it comes to integrating the technologies in that kind of spatial production, I think it helps a lot of storyboarding gets expedited and worlds get reinvented and created, right? Like some of these AI apps create worlds, and it's like all of a sudden you have a 360 wraparound Panavision, and that's unheard of, right? Like that's not something that existed.
It's just a prompt. It's just like
a
so
prompt,
easy.
literally. And the thing is, like, creating workflows that speak to each other, training your own models, but then having a correlation of the theme, the style, and the story as a whole. You can plug that prompt and kind of data set into multiple of these tools, and it combines unlimited amount of layers to it, right? Like sound effects, visual effects, characterization, voiceovers, themes, even like you can, and this is where, like to Gabriel's question earlier, it's like anyone can and should be a creative. I think inherently humans are creative beings, hence evolution's happening, because there's always enough people to push the limit for society to move forward as a whole. So I think from a content standpoint, AR and VR have been the underdogs. I think it's been ahead of its time, and then it was not quick enough, and it's been clunky and this and that.
Yeah, the hardware was slow to develop.
Exactly. And it's like, I think the need was there before the execution, and it switched tables. And I mean, there's a bunch of opinions about it, and people can go either way. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I personally am very excited. I can't mention names, but it's a very famous song and popular song that went viral the last couple of months in the AI scene, and it attracted a lot of mainstream media, and it spoke to a lot of celebrities, and they got interactive with it. And we are in partnership, and we under NDA, unfortunately, but we in pre-production and development with a full-on 360 immersive show where it's going to be played out in like planetariums and like the sphere, is like that kind of setting where there's just visuals and audio coming from all kinds of angles. But we are absolutely, and we're still doing a lot of motion capture and actors, and there's a script, and there's a producer and a director, and there's like talented humans producing and making this. But a lot of the infrastructure and creative tooling is AI based, because we can expedite the workflow and for cheaper, but it looks as professional as it can be, right? Like we're all a bunch of professionals, so it's never not going to look the part, but that's kind of where things are going. And I think from that side of things, we've experimented with a lot of AR and VR activations over the last few years, where I'd have events where it's more like art centric or gallery openings, and we pair a digital world on top of the physical, and people have multi-layer content sets that they can interact with during the night. You're in one venue, you're seeing the same things in real life, but there's like 4 different digital layers on top of it, where you can walk the same path 4 times, and each time your experience is different. So it's almost like merging a nightclub and a cinema, if you can imagine that. It's like you're taking people to a movie whilst they're dancing, kind of thing. And I think that's kind of in itself a very niche kind of market and audience, but I think it's only the start of what that really looks like. I think a lot more web browser based content is going to be developed, and the world as we see it on our walking and physical plane will just keep being stacked and built on by multiple digital planes and layers of it. And I think brands specifically have an opportunity to integrate that and experiment with that, by activating certain campaigns and cool initiatives, but also not alienating the audience, right? Like still making it authentic to the brand, making it relatable to the brand, it's not just someone diving into a new technology going, oh, we heard we should be doing this, so we are. It's more about like, get the right advice, get the right people and the right technologists and creatives to help you create this bespoke experience. But I know from a few meetings and great conferences that there's a lot of more attention being paid by big franchises, especially in the sports world, where AR and VR is going to play a big role in gamified experiences. So definitely.
And entertainment. Yeah, definitely. Cool. We have a great comment, several great comments from Ian. Immersive journey telling, geospatial and beyond will become as normal as cell phone or the internet. It is just a fact. Totally agree with that. And Williama says, I read in one post, AI won't take your place, but humans using AI will, 100%. Cool. Speaking of AI, I would love to get into how you all are using AI and get into that, the Fox AI that you guys have. But I know you have another clip to play, whichever you prefer to present, and then we can talk about the creatives and how we can empower them.
Okay.
When
you want me to play that?
Yeah, whichever you feel like it's a good time. All right.
All right, team. Let's talk about what makes Foxtail Studios the magic maker. We've got this insane network of creatives, tech partners, and clients, but what really sets us apart is how we scale it all. Large format productions, CaaS social media content, and our AI pipeline, it's a powerhouse.
Man, you said it. Fox, we got the brains, the vibes, and the tech to make it all happen. It's like creativity on steroids, or, on premium kush.
And don't forget scalable, Stank. That's the secret sauce. Big brands, small brands, influencers, even technologists, they all plug into our pipeline and boom, out comes content faster than you can say Foxbox magic.
True, but let's not forget the creatives in the mix. We've got the dopest network of filmmakers, designers, coders, and storytellers. It's not just production, it's art. And we scale that art across every platform thanks to our tech.
Exactly, and the AI pipeline is the backbone. It's not just about speeding things up, it's about amplifying the creative process. From large-scale event coverage to snackable social content, we make sure everything's top-notch and scalable. Oh, and let's talk about CaaS, creativity as a service. Brands love it. Need a full campaign? Done. Social media assets? Easy. Want it yesterday? AI pipeline says no problem. That's why they keep coming back.
You're not wrong, Box. And let's be real. Working with us is fun. We're not just a studio. We're a vibe. Big clients, indie creators, they all get the same creative juice.
And the tech partners? Don't even get me started. AI labs, motion capture wizards, sound engineers, they bring their A game and we plug it right into the Foxtail machine. It's seamless.
So here's the play. Foxtail Studios isn't just about making content. It's about creating ecosystems where everyone wins. Clients, creatives, tech partners. We scale the unscalable and we make it look good. And we slap a few stickers on it for good measure.
Now that's what I call a masterpiece. Scalable, dope, and always lit.
Foxtail Studios, the only place where creativity, tech, and chaos come together, and everyone leaves with something epic.
Beautiful. Thank you. Cool. So we talked about creatives in this audio. What do you think are the most critical skills for creatives to master in the next 5 years, and how can we and the brands can support their journey learning all of this?
I sat with this question for a very long time because it's very relevant to myself, right? And everyone I engage and chat with. I think first and foremost is building or understanding that they are the business. I think the first skill to get yourself and wrap your head around as a creative is that you are the product, and how you present yourself and how you weaponize or tool yourself rather than weaponize, how you educate yourself and equip yourself with tools that expedite your delivery from A to Z, and how you can enforce your product as yourself and make it faster, better, and maintain the quality that's required to keep it as a sustainable, sellable thing. I think in this day and age, also what that means from a creative standpoint is practice and creating discipline for yourself. I think we live in a world where information is fleeting. Stuff I prepared for this 2 days ago is not going to be relevant today. It might not be relevant tomorrow. It's most certainly not going to be relevant in a month from now. So training yourself and spending enough time every day going to study or to educate yourself or train yourself on tools that are out there, if it's within the Foxtail ecosystem or not, dashboard, you need to bring yourself up to speed. And I think that's a responsibility for oneself. I think another big thing that's always been kind of frowned upon with creatives inherently is the inability to collaborate, because I think everyone's always been so like protective on their IP or their ideas. And that's like, the unfortunate reality is you need to be a brand of your own. You need to have your own style. You need to create that brand and your business. You need to educate and train yourself so that you have skills and tools that set you apart from anyone else. And then, that being said, you need to be able to go in a room and allow other people to speak and give them the opportunity to inspire you. Because I feel the pressure of corporate and production and industry experience, it's like we used to work so hard and you had a very specific task and job to do, and you didn't really give enough space for anyone else to influence it because it was your role and responsibility. Where now, with where we are, if you kind of open up your mind and give people space to collaborate and allow clients to also express their vision, we have the ability to expedite what we show them in return, right? Like I think a discovery call has gone from, oh, we have this elaborate idea, here's a brief, things, we'll speak to you guys back in 2 weeks and you'll pitch us something back. That's gone. That's not reactive enough. That's not feasible. The immediate...
So much changes within that 2 weeks, from the cultural perspective, from the tools, like so much, right?
The campaign can be irrelevant, right? So I think being able to collaborate immediately and having the tools to kind of streamline that's a skill. I think that's what people need to be aware of. And another skill is to train yourself on the Foxtail Studios platform that we're building. So we are for the cool peeps and the vibes. But yeah, I think people need to scale their skill in terms of understanding that they are the brand that they're trying to sell.
That's a shift of perspective to have. So speaking of like this collaboration, co-creation, and partnerships, can you share any examples of, positive partnerships that, you feel like for you or others have really expanded creative capabilities?
I mean, a few very easy ones come to mind, and I think it's just because it's such an easy medium. And for us, partnerships, everything, right? Like a lot of these concepts and ideas that initially sparked my idea of creating this pipeline from clients and brands, connecting them with the creatives, is to have an aggregated tech stack with all the various tools in one space and location. And the first thing, like 11 Labs, I don't know if you've met Justin Hackney, but he's the creative director there, and they are a massive audio tooling company where it's a dubbing studio. You can create personalized voiceovers, you can create sound effects, you can, one of the big things, and we'll get into it a bit later, it's the first thing you will see and be met with when you get to our website in the future when it's launched officially, is our fox. You will have a digitized character, and that's your first point into Foxtail Studios. And this is a conversational AI chatbot, but it's trained on our data sets. It speaks our tone, it speaks our quirky language, and it is one of our team members because it allows you to have a conversation as a creative or as an investor or as a business person or a brand or a company that want to know how to get involved with us. And it has a very direct conversation with you. It's not trying to sell you anything. It's trying to evaluate your need and then guide you in the right direction for us to assist you. And
I would love people to hear it.
Yeah,
and I just want to comment. Sorry. 11 Labs just raised $250 million at $3 billion valuation. So that just tells you they're definitely making moves. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, and it's by no way small moves, right? And I feel there's just so much, like, Justin's a big force, I feel, from a creative and the overall AI movement as such, because he's been there early on, and he's just a really funny and nice guy, but he really knows what he's doing. Amazing. And the people that he's bringing in and the whole executive team, they're amazing. So, but that's just an easy pick off, right? Them, Luma Labs, we created partners with them in terms of we have access to early models and all the cool stuff that they release, and that's just from a concept standpoint allowed us to tell stories immediately and very quickly. And I think, once you kind of get the hang of the tools, even if you're technically not savvy, which, I can switch on my laptop, right? And I can do filming and video, but I don't necessarily know how to code much or at all. But getting into the groove and having enough time with professionals and finding ways how to integrate APIs and all these things, it becomes very quick to be able to deliver content that is completely human, conceptualized and thought out, but we could expedite the output because of the amazing tools we have, right? It's a tool. You can make it more than a tool, and I'm sure 1 million people, 1 billion people will, right? But for us that are building companies and business on top of these things, we're still using it as a tool to enhance the human experience, led by humans.
Yeah. And I feel like it's like a golden phase for creatives because, when Sora first was announced, everybody thought anybody can make a movie, a high quality movie. But now that it's, publicly accessible, it's not true. Only people who really know how to make a movie or how to tell good stories are actually creating something that is worth sharing. So as you said, it's not about learning how to code. All of those technical, challenges are going away. And instead, if you're a creative person, you already have all the tools to take your creativity to the next level. Cool. So as we're getting closer towards the end of the show, I want to jump into playing that, AI Fox, and then getting into what's next for you and Foxtail Studio, if you don't mind getting to that. And while you're pulling that up, I want to say hi to Havel. Thank you for being here, and everyone else who's been tuning in or will be watching the recording. We're so grateful for you to always be here and supporting us and bringing your amazing questions and comments. Cool, Keith. Are you okay? Ready to play?
Creative Guide. Whether you're here to... Hey there, welcome to Foxtail Studios, where creativity meets innovation. I'm the Fox, your creative guide. Whether you're here to explore our services, learn about our cutting-edge tools, or just curious about how we make storytelling magic, I've got you covered. What can I help you create today?
Hey Fox, I'm a graphic designer and video maker. How can I get involved with you guys?
That's awesome. We're always looking for talented creatives to join our network. Foxtail Studios is built on a global community of over 3,000 designers, animators, and video makers. To get started, you can sign up through our portal. You'll have access to training modules, learn about our AI-powered tools, and get matched with briefs that fit your skills. As you complete projects and gain experience, you'll unlock more opportunities and even specialize in areas like animation or motion graphics. Are you ready to dive in?
Nice.
Great.
So what if I was a brand and a company? How can I get involved with the Foxtail Studios then?
That's a great question. We're thrilled to work with brands of all sizes. At Foxtail Studios, we offer Creativity as a Service, CaaS, which is like having a whole creative team at your fingertips. We can help you with everything from storyboarding and script writing to full-scale video production and social media campaigns. We even have a subscription-based plan called Foxbox, where you can purchase credits to access our services. What kind of creative projects are you thinking about? Maybe you're looking to launch a new product.
Well,
So I don't think we have time to listen to the whole thing, but I think this was enough to give a teaser of what's coming up. But that was really cool. I actually tried it. I actually asked the Fox what the agenda should look like for this show. And yeah, it's really, creative and definitely has been trained on all the data that you guys have. And this is kind of the future of interactions, to have that, fun interaction plus all the data and communication. What else would you like to add to this, Keith?
Jens, he's completely distracted me there. I apologize. Just ask that question one last time.
No worries. I was just wondering, maybe we can now talk about what's next for you guys, and what's next also for the industry from your perspective, and how everyone can, follow and support you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And thank you again so much for putting this on and all the effort that's gone into this. This is very helpful for me to talk about what we're building. We're very proud of it. It's been a journey and it's only getting started. I think, just to go back as a summary, everyone has the power to convey a message and tell stories. I think not everyone can make a career out of it, and neither should they. I think the traditionally trained creatives and storytellers are going to have to do the effort and force themselves to get involved and bring themselves up to speed to give them a bigger opportunity, right, to stay relevant and active moving forward. I think the way people are consuming and creating content is going to change. I think gone are the days, and this is very relevant to myself also just by using Suno, which is a music making app. I think gone are the days of people just choosing what to watch, but rather deciding what to create to watch, right? And I think Roblox, Fortnite, Apple, Netflix, all these kind of platforms of content distribution are going to integrate some sort of a personalized element and function where you can create your own and build out your own.
I heard Netflix actually just did that. I don't know if you have tried it, but it's like, being your own DJ and making your own music and, content.
Exactly.
So really
and the nice thing about that, and it's a double-edged sword, because if it sucks, it's only you to blame. But if it's really good, you can take all the credit, right?
And nobody's gonna know.
Well, that's the thing. It's like people are, and it's going to be this generation where it's like, oh, it sucks. AI is shit. Or, oh, it's really good. I thought about it all myself. And that's kind of what it is, right? That's just human nature, and I'm here for it. But I think everyone's been a creator the last decade. Everyone's trying to make money on YouTube and Instagram and all these things. I think the way it's going to be consumed and delivered is just evolving and changing. But accessibility is definitely a thing. But it still takes a person willing to put in the work that will claim the benefits of the work.
Cool. And what's next for Foxtail, yeah.
Big things. We have a very big year lined up. We've got great partners. We're in production of 3 animation series. We've got a few TV series. We've got this AR, VR, immersive musical that we're fortunate to be a part of. And then essentially, aside from the cool creative projects that we're busy with on a larger scale, we're also getting access to a few new venues. We've got a great new venue in San Francisco that will be curating and producing all of their content and all kind of creative solutions levels.
Amazing.
So look out for that. Yeah, that's a very good partnership. Ronnie 2K from 2K Games is the owner of this establishment. So we're very proud and honored to be creative partners with them. Big thing for us is getting the MVP out for our creative SaaS, right? Like for our creativity as a service, and starting to connect our test brands with our test creatives and building the tech that and building on the pre-existing tech that we have and making it a seamless content transfer, right? Like we want to be able to allow brands to be able to execute on their visions. I had a thing, I know we're going over time, but there was this question in the questionnaire where we were like, what is your advice you would give brands as a takeaway or something?
Yeah.
I just thought about it. It's like, if you're Nike, for instance, and you're the brand manager of Nike, and tomorrow morning you wake up and Adidas or Puma has 10,000 viral brand assets, video clips, music, memes, or whatever it is that's flooding the internet, what do? You call us, because we help those people do that. And I think that's where it's going. People are going to have to really step up the volume of content to stay relative, because as AI grows as a tool, it's also growing as a competitive agent online. You're not just trading or competing with humans with AI either. You're competing with AI, essentially.
But while maintaining the quality, of course.
Exactly, of course. That's the main key ingredient. You can't just send stuff out into the universe and think it's going to land. But yeah, that's my takeaway.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And people can connect with you on LinkedIn, I imagine. Right?
Yeah, and then also we've got a placeholder up on our website. We'd love people to go put in their details for the alpha access. We'll be releasing that hopefully in the next couple of months. We're going.
What's the website address?
It's foxtailstudios.art, ART at the end.
Cool.
So you can go check it out. It's just a receiving landing page. You can put in your name, your email address. If you want to collaborate, if you want early access, it's all kind of there. This is a placeholder, disclaimer. We'll probably launch and be live and up and running within the next month, and kind of start the testnet stuff.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Congratulations on all the progress. I know we've been talking about it, and it's finally coming to life. So congrats, kudos on all the hard work. And I can't wait to see it. And maybe I will come by to the studio when I'm in SF. But thank you so much again, Keith. This was awesome. So many cool stuff. And this is just the beginning. So we'll be following you along. Thank you again to our amazing audience, Ian, Gabriel, Williama, everyone else who tuned in, Philip, Jessica. And yeah, we're so grateful, Jean. And you know, this is happening every Tuesday. So come back next week, 9 a.m. PST, 12 p.m. EST, and we'll keep talking about emerging tech and immersive experiences. Thank you, Keith. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care.